Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to another episode of The Chocolate Shake. I am The Chocolate Shake, and inshallah, we'll be doing episode 12 today. We'll call this one Being Present as a Tool for Success. I wanted to talk about this issue today because I see that it could be very vexing to be a young man or young woman and live through our lives with our egos always riding our backs, right? Everything that happened to us throughout the course of a day, from the time we wake up in the morning until we go to sleep at night, we're constantly being met with the challenges of our own egos, right? So that ego needs to be trained, or that ego needs to be, some of the great spiritual masters said, it actually needs to be killed, right? It needs to be done away with. So there are others from those who've taken the spiritual journeys who say, no, you don't have to kill the ego. But what you need to do with that ego is you need to learn how to subdue it, right? You need to learn how to bring it under control. There are those who believe that, no, you need your ego, right? The ego is not something that was created with man through thousands, if not millions of years of evolution, and then you kick it to the curb. No, you need your ego. Right? But that ego needs to be subdued. It needs to be brought under control. So this is my message for today. How is it, giving the young people, the young ones, a tool for success? How do we do that? How is it that we live our lives and we subdue our passions? How is it that we, if not annihilate or kill the ego, how do we bring it under our control? Well, the spiritual masters have taught us that there are tools that we can use. One of the tools that I found very effective, and I've been using it myself since about 2011, when I really started to pay attention to my own ego. I really started to pay attention to the words that were coming out of my mouth, and I really started to pay attention to the thoughts that were going through my mind and how it was that I was translating my thoughts, right? How was it that when people speak to me, or I speak back at people, or whatever things happen in the course of a day, when it came to my own mind and it came to my own heart, my own soul, how was that being translated? And was I translating that information in the best way, right? Was I translating the information in a way where it was actually authentic and real? Or was I translating the message and it was just my own BS, right? It was all just how it is that my mind, right? My mind processed it and how it went through my heart, and my ego processed it. And this is the danger, right, of getting older, leaving your childhood, leaving your young adulthood, and becoming a full-fledged human being. So one of the mechanisms, one of the tools, praise be to God, alhamdulillah, that the ancients gave us, those great wise divines gave us, is that we have a technique of staying in the moment, right? You hear people say, be present. Be present in the moment that you're in at that time. Don't worry about what just happened in the past. Don't worry about what's going to happen in the future, but stay present in the moment. Because if we can stay present in the moment, the first thing we'll realize is that when you're present in the moment, that's the only reality. What happened in the past is not a reality anymore, because what happened in the past is very translatable, right? You can look at it, your mother can look at it, your dad can look at it, your friends can look at it, your peers can look at it, your children can look at it, your coworkers can look at it. Everybody can look at what happened in the past as something, where something concerned you and them, and everybody will have their own point of view. Everybody will tell you what happened, and they're going to tell you what happened as that information was processed through their own minds and their own souls, right? Through their own heart. And when somebody asks, what happened at that party, or what happened on the job, or what happened in the house between husband and wife, or parent and children, then the parents will have one story. They'll have their side. The children will have their story. They'll have their side. Your coworkers and peers will have a story about what happened on the job, etc. And I think by now we are all old enough to understand what I'm saying. Everything that happened in the past is translatable. Everybody's going to have their point of view about what happened, right? Even when our great prophets die, or the great messengers die, or some great person dies, when you look at that person's disciples, that's why we have the differences of opinion from the disciples, right? So the one disciple says this and another disciple says that, right? We have that type of dynamic that goes on in our lives, right? Even with Prophet Muhammad, on him be peace, at his when he was getting older and he was coming to the end of his message, he told one companion, whose name was Salman, he says, Salman, be careful what it is that you're saying to Abu Dhar, which was another disciple of the Prophet Muhammad, because Salman came from a tradition that was a highly spiritual Christian tradition. That's where he came from before he met Prophet Muhammad and before he became Muslim. Where Abu Dhar, he was known as what we call today a jack boy, right? He was like a carjacker. He would jack caravans and steal people's properties. And so he was one of those rogue type of individuals on the highways and the byways that you didn't want to run across, right? You might lose all your stuff and you may even lose your life. So his understanding about the Prophet and the message of Islam was more concrete, right? He had more of a simple understanding of the religion. So the Prophet warned Salman and Bilal, two other companions of the Prophet, be very cautious how you talk about Islamic spirituality in front of Abu Dhar, because he has another take on it. And if you continue to talk to him about these highly spiritualized ideas, then that's going to make him want to take your head, right? So you have to be very careful. The Prophet was warning Salman and Bilal about their conversations when you're having these back and forths with Abu Dhar. So the point I'm making is that the Prophet was the teacher of all three of them. They were his disciples, but yet two of them had a like opinion or like understanding about Islam, where the third, he had another type of understanding. So this is a natural process, right? That's because the information is flowing through the mind and it's also flowing through the heart, and people walk away with their point of view. Whatever they are is how they see the world, right? The old famous saying, you know, the world is not as it is. The world is as you are, right? So whatever we are, that's how we see the world. So that's our ego, right? So what we have to do is learn how to bring that ego down, subdue the ego, so that the ego is actually seeing the world as it is. And that takes time, brothers and sisters, to learn, especially you young ones. It takes a lot of time to learn how is it that I subdue my passions and subdue that ego to actually, when I see the world or something happens, that I'm actually seeing the world as it is. And I'm not making up something because of the way I feel. I'm moving in my emotions, or the way that I think because I have some type of real negative way of thinking, or the opposite. This is me, right? This is your brother here. I always want to see the world through rose-colored glasses, right? I always want to see the best of everybody, the best of everything. Alhamdulillah, I found out as I got older that is the way of the Prophet Muhammad, on him be peace, right? That's the way he lived his life. You know, always he said, you give people the benefit of the doubt. Right, that was how the Prophet Muhammad moved, on him be peace. So I'm proud that that's a part of my regular nature, that I give people the benefit of the doubt. But sometimes when you do that, you start to look at the world through those rose-colored eyeglasses, and the world will come back with a whip and give you a good spanking. And I've learned that the hard way, right? To spank you good because you're looking at something that should be viewed another way, right? You're looking at it through the lens of your own heart. You're looking at it through the lens of your own ego. So the technique that they gave us, the great divines gave us, was to make sure that whatever we do, that we live in the moment. You stay present. And the way that you do that is that whenever anything happens to you, right? Anything happens to us throughout the course of a day, that you take a moment, especially when something jolting happens to you, right? Somebody says something you don't like, or somebody cuts you off in traffic, or, you know, or any type of dig that people have, right? People always have digs, a bad joke. You know, they come at you about what your clothes look like, or what type shoes you have on, or somebody has something that, you know, comes from a joke, but hidden in the joke, you know, is a message to spank, you know, to give you a slap on the behind, or it's a dig at you. And you're saying to yourself, man, come on, brother. Come on, sister, don't ruin my day, right? So what I'm saying here is, you don't allow your day to get ruined by those types of things, right? Because what you want to do is you want to stay present in the moment and say to yourself right there at the moment, wait a minute, did that off-color joke hurt me, right? Did it do anything to my physical self? All it did was it chipped or bruised my ego for a moment. And I know that my ego is not my barometer on how I should be seeing the world, because I know my ego is just a mechanism that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the human being as we've evolved, right? It's a mechanism to keep us out of trouble. It's a mechanism to, if it's cold, to get you out of that cold. It's a mechanism that if there's danger, that you're able to flee from the danger or protect yourself from the danger, right? That's what the ego is there for. But the ego is not there to be read as a reality. So when something happens, you say to yourself and you remind yourself, okay, you take that thought in or whatever happened to you, you experienced it, and you say to yourself, okay, I didn't like that. I didn't like that statement, or I didn't like what just happened, right? You recognize that. You let it go through the process through your mind, you let it process through your soul, and then you remind yourself, okay, that's my ego. My ego is the first responder, right? But the ego is not my reality. It's not the reality of just what just happened. Because the person that told the off-color joke or said whatever they said or cut you off in traffic or whatever the case may be, they have a story. You don't know what it was that was going on with that person to make them respond to you or to react to you the way they did. If they cut you off in traffic, maybe the person is not feeling well and they have to get home, or they have to get to a hospital, or maybe something happened to a family member and they're trying to get to that family member, or maybe the person's just a genuine butthole and he's just trying to get to work, he's running a little late, and then he cut you off in traffic. But you could understand if a person cut you off in traffic and they're trying to get to work, right? We all understand that because we've all run late before. So this is the way that we have to, subdue the passions and check that ego. If you stay in the moment, then you can get a grasp of it, right? If we stay in the moment, we don't allow what just happened that minute ago become our reality. He cut me off, and now you carry that for the rest of the day. That Negro cut me off, right? And now your whole day is ruined. The whole top of your day is ruined because somebody cut you off, or because somebody made an off-color joke as you stood in some Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks to get a cup of coffee, right? Or somebody looked at you a way that you don't like, or something you perceive it to be racist, and you think somebody said something or did something to you racist, right? And now for the rest of the day, you have to carry that and allow that to, turn you into something that's ugly, right? So now you are short with your clients, you're short with your coworkers, you're short with your spouse and your children, when all it was some little dig from somebody. They didn't mean anything by it, but they said it because that's a part of being human, right? We do that all day long. We do it to others. And so just like people do it to us, we do it to others. So that's why we have to realize that that's something that this is a human interaction, right? It's a human interaction. So don't put too much of your ego in it. And at the same time, learn that just happened, and that's the past, right? And so the past is highly translatable. Now in the present, everything is okay. I'm not injured. I'm not hurt. The person's not injured. The person's not hurt. Everything is all right. And likewise, this putting a bunch of attention on what's going to happen in the future, we have to be very careful about, because the future is make-believe, right? There's no future. The present is the only reality. Just like I'm standing here doing this particular, giving you this information via this social media outlet, I'm here present at this moment. This is the only reality that I could be in. I'm physically here, I'm mentally here, I'm spiritually here, right? There's no future. The future is something that can be. That's a possibility. It's not a reality. Being here right now is my reality. And what happened in the past earlier today, that's the past. That's translatable. That's not even a reality, right? So what we're saying is we don't even want to get caught up in the anxiety of our futures. Don't even get caught up in that, because the minute you start talking about the future, then we become anxious about that future. We want to bend and twist the future to our will. When in this vast universe that we live in, that's going to be absolutely impossible. And all you're going to do is wear yourself down with anxiety and put yourself in a position where every day of your life is you're going to be chasing something that's not real, right? In the future, you're chasing a future that can turn out to be any way. It can turn out to be the way you want it, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has that in his control, right? These are things that are in control of the creator and the master of the universe, right? So you have no way of controlling it. The only thing we can do as we start moving out of the present is that we can throw down our surfboard and let the waves come from the ocean. And all we do is put our hands out to get some balance, get on top of a good surfboard and surf your way through whatever it is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send by way of wind, rain, waves, or whatever else. And then you can use that analogy any kind of other way, right? So this is our reality. We have no control of what's going to happen in the future. So why burden yourself with it? But what we do have control over is what's happening right in the here and the now. This we have control over. And I believe if the young people will concentrate more on this aspect of their lives, living in the here and the now and staying in the present moment, then we don't wear ourselves down where people feel like they have to self-delete, or people feel like they have to harm themselves in any way, or others. You're not so anxious that you can't achieve a particular goal. So now, I didn't achieve my goal. So I got to go take something from somebody. I got to go do something to somebody because the world didn't bend to my will. I'm angry and I'm going to express it to the world, right? So we can't do that. When we do that, now we're out of control. And that's when we start to, vie off the realm of the moral and we start to go into the realm of the immoral. That's when we leave our godly selves and we start to go into our devil selves, right? The evil that comes out of man. So I pray that what I've said this evening is something that you could will benefit you in your life. I thank you very much for listening. I please ask you to like this video and subscribe to my channel. If you hadn't already, we're trying to build the channel out for moral men in particular, but moral people in general. Thank you very much for those who are staying along with me. I have heard your comments. Please, it would be good if you send them to the YouTube channel. Send it to the channel as opposed to sending it to my text message or emails or giving me a call. But thank you for those who have done it, or using the other platform where people are sending some things to me who want me to engage in particular topics. Please send it to the channel so other people can see it and other people can engage on the channel. Okay, I would appreciate that. Thank you very much. And that's all I have for today. You guys have a good evening, and I love you. Peace.